It is July 20th, 1969. You are headed towards uncharted territory that no one has ever seen before. You are crammed in a tiny shuttle with two other men. A few days pass, and you do not know if you are headed in the right direction. As you get closer to your destination, you start to get butterflies in your stomach. You and the two other men on board get into the Eagle shuttle and start your descent to this unexplored area. You slowly open the door to the shuttle, wondering what you will be getting into. You open the door and see nothing but a black sky with a gray horizon. You have landed on the moon. This is what was going through the heads of the three astronauts of Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. This was the first time a human landed on the moon. Whether people believe it or not, it is not a conspiracy. There has been countless amounts of proof that this actually happened. There are pictures and videos, equipment that was left on the moon before the Americans departed, and there are samples of the moon that have been brought back to the United States. The first piece of evidence that the moon landing was real are the many photos that were taken of this trip. According to Forbes, there are over 8,000 pictures taken on this trip. Some of these photos were taken of the Earth before heading to the moon. The rest of the photos were taken in the shuttle while orbiting the moon, and while the astronauts actually stepped foot on the moon. NASA released every photo taken of this trip, along with 12 other missions that made it. These photos were uploaded to a public photo stream on Flickr. Before Neil and his partners left the moon, they installed scientific equipment on it. Lunar seismometers were installed by Apollo 11, as well as a few other Apollo missions. Another piece of equipment installed by Apollo 11 was a lunar laser ranging retroreflector array. This machine is able to measure how far the moon is from the Earth. The machine is still being used to this day. A few other pieces of equipment were installed as well, such as the SWC experiment, which measures the solar wind composition from the moon's surface, the SWS experiment, to measure the solar wind's spectra from the moon, the LSM experiment, to measure the lunar magnetic field, and the LDD, to measure how lunar dust would settle on and pollute solar panels. Along with the evidence above, there is one more solid piece of evidence that the moon landing was indeed real. Samples of the moon were brought back to Earth. The astronauts of Apollo 11 brought back many different types of samples from the moon. According to Lunar Science and Exploration, the samples that were brought back were over 50 rocks, lunar soil, and two core tubes of material 13 centimeters under the moon's surface. These samples contain no water at all, and they give no sign of life on the moon. The samples help NASA find out so much about the moon and what it is made of. As you get back onto the Eagle and depart back to Earth, you and your team are highly satisfied. The first moon landing was as real as it gets, and there is countless amounts of evidence, which include photos, scientific equipment, and lunar samples. As Neil Armstrong said as he stepped off the Eagle, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."